Hi, it's Johnny Jenkins here. I hope you're well and doing okay at the moment during this deadline and assessment season. Welcome to this Study Happy video where we're talking all about study space on campus. Did you queue outside the library this morning? It's pretty busy first thing, and I think it's pretty busy throughout the day as well, but there are some other study spaces available. We're going to talk about some of them now and the other places which perhaps might be a bit easier for you to study at the moment. Let's bring in Luke Mepham, the SU president. Hi, Luke. Very good to see you. This is quite a big issue, isn't it, at the moment?
Absolutely. So it's something that obviously affects all students. All students are looking for study space, and the queues outside the library have been quite large over the last few weeks, mainly owing to the reduced capacity within the library. And as you mentioned, there's so many other study spaces all around campus. So it would be good to talk a little bit more about some of those and make sure that you actually know where they are, what they're like, and how you can use them.
So obviously the key other library managed study space is the Roots Learning Grid, just off the piazza between Pret and Curiosity, around that sort of area. And that's quite, it's got the study space, but also a bit of a sort of more social space, hasn't it?
Absolutely. So the layout's changed quite a lot since social distancing, but the Roots Learning Grid in the Roots building is still open. Still kind of the second busiest study space after the library at the moment. However, other areas of the Roots building have been opened up, such as the Flexi Grid in the Roots building, previously used for circling, as some of you might know it, kind of if you've been circling at Fusion, and also the panorama rooms in the Chancellor Suite, which are traditionally used for conferences and exams in that building, are also being used for study space. That whole building is filling up quite early on in the day. So it's still a good place to go if you're kind of on campus early, but there are still emptier places around campus.
Okay, well, let's touch on some of those now. One of them, which I think people are put off a bit because it's 5 minutes down the road, is University House, which of course is where a lot of the university staff are normally based, most of them working from home at the moment. There's quite a lot of study space there.
Absolutely. So I was actually in University House a couple of hours ago, and it is dead in there at the moment. It's not very busy at all. So you have got the two learning grids in there, and also the atrium space, which is obviously normally for the users of the cafe. That's all open, and within the learning grids, you've got access to power, you've got access to some resources, and also some kind of comfier places to sit in there as well. And contrary to popular belief, you say it is only 5 minutes away from the library. It feels like it's miles away. If you live in Westwood, it's even closer. But yeah, for most students on campus, it really isn't much of a walk, and it's going to be it's probably going to be much quicker doing that walk than staying in that library queue.
So it's somewhere, if you haven't been before, because I know a lot of people haven't been to the physical buildings this year, it's between Westwood campus and the main campus, and like I say, it's just a few minutes there. Am I right in thinking, I'm not on campus, as you can see, am I right in thinking that the Oculus opened up some days ago for studying as well?
Absolutely, yeah. So the Oculus and all of the teaching rooms within the Oculus are open for quiet and kind of individual study space. Alongside that, the university opened loads of other normally centrally timetabled rooms. So rooms such as in Ramful, I believe some in social sciences are open, alongside all of the traditional grids and the junction space as well. So there is loads and loads of space. And actually in that link below that you can see all of the available spaces there and kind of current availability as well.
So there's all the different spots, and actually, I think what we're seeing is, obviously, you think of the library, you think of the grid in Roots, but actually, if you look a bit further afield, you're going to have a more comfortable experience, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I completely understand why students might want to be in the library. It's the central study space. It's probably the one that students in later years associate with having done exams in the past and such. But there are still so many other spaces to be used. They still have the same amount of facilities as the library. They're still as accessible, and you're just not going to have as much of a queue. So I really would urge students, unless you need library specific resources, unless you need to go and look at books and such, all of these study spaces are open, and you're probably going to have a much better time.
Okay, so that link, which you can see along the bottom, studyspaces.warwick.ac.uk, you can find about the library and non-library spaces on campus, the locations, number of seats, opening hours, even, I'm told, 360-degree photos, if that's what you'd quite like to look at. Thanks so much, Luke. Just out of interest, when you were a student, obviously now you're an officer, where was your go-to study space?
I actually used to study, and being a maths student, initially used to be in the maths undergrad workroom, and then when the mathematical sciences building opened, those balconies in there are lovely. But I actually don't think, unfortunately, any of those spaces are open at the moment, as they're all managed by departments rather than central university. Other than that, in third year, I did also dip into the university house grid, so I am a bit of an advocate for it being a nice and very quiet space.
Well, there's plenty of places you can go. Thanks, Luke. Speak very soon. That's Luke Mepham, the SU president at Warwick. And if you'd like to find study space availability, that address once more is studyspaces.warwick.ac.uk. Thanks so much. Have a great day.